All right, everyone. Welcome to our first of several monthly setup socials that we are doing. So I do want to emphasize we have multiple times and days when we will be working on these monthly setups, and you are welcome to attend any and all of them if you would like. I know some people like to come to multiple ones because sometimes they work on different parts and they get different ideas from different facilitators. So please feel free to sign up for as many as you would like. And I know some folks are still having trouble not getting emails from Eventbrite or not being able to get in. So I'm glad you were able to be able to join us this evening. My name is Maya, and I am coming to you from Denver, Colorado, where it was in the 90s again today. It has been in the 90s all week. It is so hot, and I know I shouldn't complain because I know the East Coast is getting hit with all sorts of super intense heat as well. So it basically just becomes a like run from the air conditioned car to the air conditioned house to the air conditioned office, right? It's or to the pool. Right. So hopefully everyone's staying cool. Yeah, Jade's saying Florida is melting. It's rough. And it's early for summer. So crossing fingers we get a little bit of relief. I will say last week I was in Bellingham, Washington, and it was lovely up there. I don't think it maybe got up to 80, and it was very nice. So maybe further north. But again, like I know that the East Coast North is not doing well. So oh, we'll just have to remember this heat when we're in December and we're getting all the snow and cold, right? So I am going to walk us through setting up our July journal. Hopefully everyone has their journal in hand. If you don't, no worries. Use some scratch paper, sticky notes, take some notes, and when your journal arrives, you can get to work on that. So don't feel like, oh, I don't have my journal, I can't do this, right? You'll see lots of things, gives you lots of ideas. The other thing I always recommend is that you take a screenshot or picture with your camera. If you're like on the computer and you're not sure how to do screenshots, you can do that. And if there's any slides or any suggestions or anything you want to remember. The other thing just to keep in mind, we do record these and we post them on the YouTube channel. Sometimes it takes a few days for them to show up there, so you can always watch it again, and then you can pause on the different slides, right? So, oh my gosh, somebody said Arizona was 117. Ugh. I will say when I was flying back from Bellingham, I had a layover in Vegas and it was 106, which I thought, oh, I just can't even imagine even wanting to go outside when it's 106 degrees. So a few housekeeping tips, especially if any of you are new to these socials, you want to make sure to set your chat to everyone. That little blue box has a tendency to want to pop back to the host and panelist. And if it does that, the only people that see what you type are myself and my fabulous co-host here tonight, Bailey. She is coming to us from Tennessee. And I don't think it's as hot. Is it as hot there, Bailey? I don't think it's as hot. She's like, it was humid though, too, right? Denver's a dry heat, Vegas is a dry heat, Arizona's the dry heat, Florida's the humidity and heat, Tennessee's probably humidity and heat. So, I mean, we got to do what we can, right? So, she will be keeping an eye on the chat. Lots of fans. She will be keeping an eye on the chat. She will help you out if you have any questions, if you miss anything that I was talking about. And I try to keep an eye on the chat, but sometimes it goes a little fast. So just kind of keep that in mind. Let's see, another quick housekeeping, some just community guidelines, just to let you know, we are very, very determined to make this a safe and supportive space. So we have these community guidelines asking you to be kind and courteous to both yourself and others, no promotions or spam, respecting everyone's privacy, obviously no hate speech or bullying. We limit those repetitive product and accessory questions. It's fine if you want to ask like what pins folks use or that kind of thing, just a few questions here and there. But the best place to ask those questions is in the Sonder Club, because then you can get lots of links and those kinds of things. If you have any customer care inquiries like billing or shipping, or you don't have your journal yet, or you don't have your stickers yet, or you have some sort of question, the best place to get those answers is to send an email to hello@silkandsonder.com. That's to our headquarters. Bailey and I don't have access to anybody's account. I can't see where your journal is or what your mailing address is or any of those kinds of things. So just be sure and send an email. Just sometimes it takes a little while for them to get back. They are a Monday through Friday. Like 9 to 5 Pacific Coast time zones. So hopefully they'll get back to you within a day or so. If not, send them an email again. If you have Gmail, be sure you check your promotions tab. A lot of times our Silk and Sonder emails go into promotions, which a lot of us don't check. A lot of times our emails go into spam. So if you know how to whitelist or add the Silk and Sonder hello at Silk and Sonder email to your approved emails, you will get them a lot quicker. So just a few little tips there to kind of keep in mind. And then ultimately remember that Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. And we have an amazing, supportive, fabulous, creative, super smart, great group in our community. But ultimately you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So if there's ever anything that we're doing that's not your jam, the music I play is not your jam, I'm not your jam, you can mute, right? And there's closed captioning, so you can see what we're saying. And again, we do have lots of different monthly setups. So you do you. This is your hour, and actually it's an hour and 15 minutes for the monthly setups. So this is your time to work on your journal, little self-care, getting some planning in. So right, do what you need for you. So very excited about July's theme is curiosity, which is such a fun theme, this fun idea. We're going to spend the month of July just being curious about ourselves, being curious about others, curious about the world around us. And I love this quote by Roald Dahl, above all, watch with glittering eyes the whole world around you, because the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Those who don't believe in magic will never find it. And I love that idea of there's secrets all around us. There's all these amazing things if we just kind of open our eyes and get curious and kind of poke around, right? So I always like to remind folks, if you haven't already, to read Meha's letter to us on page 2. She always introduces the theme, kind of what she was thinking of when she wrote it, what it means to her. And we kind of call it our love letter from our founder, Meha, right? And she kind of gives us a little insight into her world and how this theme impacts her. So if you haven't read it, do take some time to read it. But I thought just a few little quick call outs. I like this idea that curiosity is like a secret garden we hold within ourselves, right? So this idea is curiosity is this thing that's within us that we use to look at that outer world. We get a diversity in thought and perspective. It's always very interesting to get someone else's perspectives and thoughts on things, because then it leads to a lot greater understanding, a lot more compassion, a lot more empathy. It can lead to discovery, opens doors, and amplifies your life. And it's a cure for boredom, right? So I always remember, she talks about when she was a kid, her parents like the B word was not allowed. You couldn't be bored. But I think one of the things that I found that's interesting is there's been a lot of talk about so much focus on kids looking things up on the internet or using phones, using iPads, those kinds of things. It's done away with the idea of boredom. And really, boredom leads to invention and innovation, right? Because it's that bored mind that starts getting curious about things and starts finding new things. So I also liked this quote: the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Right. So we're going to kindle that flame. Of course, I shouldn't talk about things that are warm, right? Like fire. But we're going to get and dive into that idea of curiosity. So tonight's agenda, we're going to do an opening activity. And if you've been with us before, you probably can guess what we're going to do. And then we're going to do our June reflections, our July intentions, our mood tracker, and our habit tracker. And I always include these two little cartoons to make two points, right? One is there's room for you here just as you are. Good things, bad things, all the things. We want to hear everything that's happening with you. So don't ever feel like, oh, this is too sad, or, oh, I don't want to make it sound like I'm boasting. We're here for all of the things that are going on, because life really is a lot of ups and downs, right? That's kind of a series of that. So don't ever feel like you're sharing something too sad or too happy, right? We're here for that. There's room for you here just as you are coming to us. And then the other one says the way you feel matters and no emotion you feel is bad or unworthy. So nobody can tell you you shouldn't be sad about something or you shouldn't be mad, right? Like your emotions are your emotions and we're here for them, right? We're here to feel the feels. So, and these little cartoons come from an artist called The Latest Kate, and she does all sorts of really cute, very affirming little cartoons. So, yes, our opening activity, we actually have a space for it in this month's journal on page 19. We have the Curiosity acrostic poem. So, the idea with acrostic poems is just you're going to take a word, and so this month it's curiosity. Or you could, if you wanted to, you could make it curious or curiouser, right? You could pick your own word, and then we're going to make some sort of a poem, a sentence, something like that. So what you're going to do is think about what comes to mind when you think of the word curiosity. Don't second guess yourself. Just write some things down. Just maybe you want to use some scratch paper or some sticky notes. Try to come up with at least 9 words or phrases. Obviously, whatever word you choose, it's the number of letters for what curiosity means to you. And now see if you can work it into a poem where the first letter of each line is a letter from the word curiosity. You can also use those letters, can be anywhere in a word or a phrase, right? So you can make it kind of look more like a crossword puzzle as you do that work. You can do sentences, one word, sets of words, any of those kinds of things to work on that. So there's page 19 for you. And if you want to do it on a different page, right, you absolutely can. Totally up to you. It's your journal. Curiosity is one of the great secrets of happiness. And then there's lots of fun words in there with the light bulb for curiosity. And then since this is our first monthly setup, I don't have examples from other people, but I did find some examples online for you to see. So you can see the one in the middle is just one word for each letter. Clever unveils realms in ongoing search in the yonder, right? Kind of fun. And then there's like just curious right up in the top left. Then there's curiosity kind of written out there in the side. So I also liked this quote by Albert Einstein that he says, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." I love that idea of being passionately curious. So I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to play some music. I'm going to let you work on this. I'll flip back and forth between these slides for you. Feel free, if you would like, to put your what you're going to put in for your acrostic poem in there, and we'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right. I love reading everyone's acrostics in the chat. So fun. We have creativity uncovered right in open scenics introducing thoughts yonder. Love those words are great. Who was it? Somebody had was super fun. That's the thing with the chat gets going so fast, and sometimes I can't see it all, and then I'm trying to like scroll back. Oh yeah, Phyllis had calm, and then she had you slash yourself, right? Calm you, run it out. So it totally you got to, you got to nourish to flourish. I love the idea of nourish to flourish. So super, super fun. Bailey had continuous understanding, refueling intellect, open seeking, investigating, teaching, yearning. Those are all amazing words that kind of encompass that idea of curiosity. So everyone, such a lovely job. Thank you for sharing. And please, we encourage you, if you are comfortable, to share in the Sonder Club, because people will love to see them. And the facilitators for the other 3 socials can have those examples when they do their social, right? I loved someone, and now I can't remember who it was because chat was going so fast, but kind of mentioned that they were a little trepidation with the idea of curiosity because they tend to be an overthinker. And they thought, oh gosh, what if I go too deep with the curiosity, right? What if it leads to that overthinking? So you've identified that. So that's the first step, right? You've already kind of identified that that could be a potential problem. So right there, you've got that. And then I would just say, as you're kind of going in and being curious about something, maybe be very intentionally curious, right? Find something that you want to be intentionally curious about and dig into that for the month. So maybe don't be curious about everything, and don't be curious about what a text message meant, and don't be curious about like, did somebody say something and did they really mean something else, right? But lots of great ways to explore, and hopefully you'll come to some of our other socials where we're going to dig into curiosity even more with some of our prompts. We've got Aikigi, we've got Wheel of Life. So lots of opportunities for you to kind of think about that. And if you feel like you're starting to overthink, just say, okay, I'm overthinking this. I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to go do something else, right? Or I'm going to focus on something else. So let's dig in to our monthly planner here in July. We are going to start with our June reflections. We always like to start reflecting on the previous month, giving ourselves a little bit of time to remember what we did. Sometimes those months fly by so fast and you forget everything you did. So this is your chance to really kind of go back, think about those things that were wins, challenges, favorite moments, and things you want to start, stop, and continue as you move forward. So this is what it looks like. It's over on page 8. And wins are something that you did, something made you smile, something that made you happy. It could be an accomplishment, a big accomplishment, a small accomplishment, like any kind of accomplishment, right? Maybe it's like a lot of times for me, it's if I finished any knitting projects, right? And I did finish, finally finished this big skein of yarn. I've been making these little caps for preemies who graduate from the NICU. And so like I had this big, huge skein of yarn, and I've been knitting baby hats with it forever. And I was like, am I ever going to run out of this yarn? I really want to do something else, but I finished that up last week. So that was definitely a win for June. Challenges are something that maybe didn't go right, something out of your control, a stumbling block of frustration, something that's irritating, something you have no control over, right? So that's a space there for you to kind of think about those challenges, right? Just kind of write them down, and then you can put those out of your mind. I think if you've been with me for a while, you know I'm the president of the HOA this year. And that is its own special little challenge on a daily basis, especially now that the pool is open. So definitely a challenge, and probably will continue to be a challenge in July. And then those favorite moments sometimes are also the wins, right? It can be the same thing. Maybe it's having lunch with a friend. I took my niece to go see a movie yesterday. We thought it was the new Despicable Me 4 that was out, but it was actually just Minions 2, which was fine because I hadn't seen it yet. But we went to the movies, and it was lovely. Movies are a great place to go when it's super hot outside, and they were only $3. So it was lovely. So then start, stop, and continue. Those are the things that you want, that maybe starting things that you aren't doing, but you want to do. Maybe you want to experiment, try for some better results there. Things you want to stop, things that aren't helping, things that maybe they were helpful at first, but they're not helpful anymore. So you maybe want to stop doing those. They're not delivering those desired results, things you dislike, things that don't serve you, and continue things that are working well. Maybe you always come to a weekly setup and a monthly setup, and that's working well. So you want to continue doing that. Some tips for you with the wins, challenges, and favorite moments, or even maybe the start, stop, and continue, is to look back at your rosebud thorn. If you've been a member with us and you have your June journal, you can look back at those weekly rosebud thorns to help jog your memory. I also suggest on your phone going back through your camera roll. Right. Oftentimes I'm surprised by I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Right. But I have pictures in there, or looking at your calendar. Right. So I'll give you a couple examples of things that people have done, right? Different kinds of things, talking about things that they did that they enjoyed, favorite moments, things that were tough, things that were a challenge. And then here's some other start, stop, and continue. So I'll just kind of let you take a look at those. Again, this is a great opportunity to do some screenshots, do some brainstorming here. Again, play a little bit of music, and then we'll check back in and keep moving on.
You're like a sunshine, only giving good vibes anytime that you rollin'. Pulling me out, never letting me down, and I wanna make sure you know it. You're like
Whoops, a song with words got snuck in there. That's what happens when I throw too many songs in there. Sorry about that. It is a fun song. Maybe I'll play that for our ending song. Um, but I know sometimes people have said if we play songs with words, it distracts them from trying to kind of come up with things. So I'll try not to keep the word songs in there. So I saw someone was saying they were having a hard time necessarily framing wins because a lot of times if they're a teacher and they're in school, it's easy to kind of come up with the wins. But sometimes if you're not doing that or you're not doing something that you usually do, it's hard to come up with wins. So sometimes remember, first of all, wins do not have to be huge things. Wins can be something like you attended a social each week in June, or you attended at least one social in June. Maybe it's you were able to fill up your habit tracker halfway, right? You got 15 out of 30 days where you did some habit tracking. Maybe it's one day um, drink all your water, right? Again, think of those wins don't have to be huge, something you accomplished, something that made you smile. Maybe a win was you gave somebody a compliment and it made them smile. And so then that made you smile, right? So just kind of thinking of some of these different things. I was kind of reading through the chat and I know it does tend to go kind of fast, but we've got lots of folks. We had some graduations. Some were like preschool graduations, which are always so cute, so sweet to see. Those are always fun. Relatives, visiting relatives, relatives in town, promotions, just kind of scrolling through and seeing some different things. What else was in here? Let's see. Oh, Andrea said her big win was first time driving where the round trip was more than a mile. Excellent. She's if you're having some trouble sometimes with driving or having some issues, like she's saying her big win was driving where the round trip was more than a mile, right? So those little milestones, again, it doesn't have to be something that's huge. It's something that's specific to you. Maybe you bought a chocolate bar, but you only ate half the chocolate bar and saved the other half for the next day, right? Those kind of things can all be wins as we're trying to do more nutritious eating or more mindful eating. Kimberly checked something off her bucket list. She always wanted to paint ceramics and found a studio nearby that does it. It was so much fun. I found a new form of self-care, so relaxing, and I love being creative. Let's see what else. Some challenges. Some folks are having some housing issues, folks having illness or family members with illness. So again, this is a great opportunity to just reflect on the month, really kind of think of those things as you're moving into this next month. Oh, Kimberly had pneumonia this last month. That is definitely rough. I've had some weird allergy coughing stuff because we've had our pollen count has been insane for the month of June. So I'm hoping maybe that has gone away, right? We've got people training for a Pan Mass Challenge, 160-mile 2-day cycling fundraiser. Oh, Michelle, that's awesome. I saw somebody that raised like a big chunk of money at their yard sale, which I am so impressed with. Three of my friends and I had a yard sale with, all of our stuff, and I made a whopping $23.25, but I got rid of lots of stuff. So, because everything that we didn't sell, we just took to Goodwill. So I'm always impressed when people can make good money from the yard sale, right? All right, so we've got our June reflections. And again, if you need to work on this later, no worries at all, right? But we're going to move into our July intentions. So think about those things that maybe were challenges in June. Think about those things that you want to start doing in the month of July as you move into these intentions on page 9. Right. Michelle, yes, you are welcome to post a link in here if you would like. Oh, the other thing I did want to say sometimes is when we post links in the chat, if you're on a phone, I think Zoom has made it now so it's not clickable. So just know that you might need to go into Sonder Club to post some links so you can give folks different kind of information. So on our intentions page on page 9, we have given you 6 categories as a start, right? This is just a these are just suggestions. Lots of folks repurpose these or come up with different areas of their life. These are just 6 general areas. I always tell everybody, like, we give you lots of ideas, but then you are welcome to change as needed. So you could use the theme of curiosity to set your intentions. Brenda, I know you're here with us, and a lot of times you use the theme of the month to kind of set your intentions, saying like, personal life, I will be curious about whatever. So maybe you will do that again this month and share with us. You don't have to, no pressure, but I know I've seen lots of your examples where you've done that. And it's kind of a fun way to do it. Maybe you want to focus on an area like self-love or self-talk. Maybe you want to use the name of a song or maybe song lyrics that inspire you. Maybe you want to really think about how you want to feel this month in each area. So it's kind of a feeling that you want to have in each of these areas. You can use stickers, colors, images, whatever you want. Maybe you want to list one thing you want to let go of in this area and one thing you want to start doing. So, I do have, each month has its own, like, it's a national whatever month, and there's always like a huge list of things. So one month I actually kind of picked like, what was the national month of whatever, and kind of, geared, I think it was a safety month or something like that, and kind of geared it that way. So I gave you, these are the things in July. It is, interestingly enough, National Anti-Boredom Month. So remember, the cure for boredom is curiosity, and there's no cure for curiosity. I love that. So yeah, so Brenda's saying she's going to set it up this month. I will be curious by in each of these areas. So you could kind of take that theme, right, Kate? I don't, maybe Meha knew when she picked the theme of curiosity that it was National Anti-Boredom Month. It's also National Grilling Month, National Peach Month. You could grill peaches and then you could like do two at the same time. Also National Hot Dog. Yeah, so yeah, Andrea's saying about my dad's hot dogs made on the grill. National Ice Cream Month. I can get down with that, right? I can totally figure out a way to work that in. National Independent Retailer Month. So maybe you want to do something for those independent stores, the locally owned stores. Fragile X Awareness Month. Bailey said, Bailey was like, wait, what is that? And I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that it's, and so we looked it up. So it is helpful for the awareness month. So it is something in the genes that causes some learning disabilities and different kinds of things. And so I don't know a lot about it, but it is Fragile X Awareness Month. So maybe you want to dig into that and see charities or those kinds of things that support that. French American Heritage Month and Juvenile Arthritis Awareness Month. So different ideas to perhaps take a spin. So here's some examples. Yeah, again, yeah, Brenda, that's great. Be curious and learn, right? Lots of things you can be curious about. So here's some different examples of things that folks have done. They have maybe, like I like the one money management in the middle. They have be mindful and intentional about spending, avoid impulse purchases, reduce credit card debt. I learned a new word, speaking of learning new words and being curious. It's called, the word is spavings, Spavings, where stores will get you to spend money under the guise of saving money. Right. So it's like if you buy 5, you get this discount, or spend $50 and get $5 off. And so it's actually called spavings. And so you could have, maybe in money management, you are going to, yeah, girl math. Maybe your money management intention is to be aware of spavings, right? And sometimes just being aware of it, not that you necessarily have to not do it, but you really want to think about, do I really need this thing? Or if you spend $25, you get free shipping. Yeah, the free shipping, right? And then it's like, do you really need another thing, or could you have just paid the $5 in shipping, right? So definitely something to think about. Maybe you want to just use a few words. In there, someone had some stickers. The one in the middle has the more on one side and less on the bottom side. So things, like they want to do more spend-free days and savings, less gratuitous spending, right? Oh, Jen's doing July and August are no spend months for me. Love that. Maybe you want to do Post-it notes because you're not quite ready to commit what you want to put in there in those boxes. So that's a great idea as you think about it. Another person, and it's not Bailey, I did check with her because there are some fun little Disney stickers, but they have some fun Disney stickers, and then with different words, and then kind of have their intention around those fun little Disney stickers. And I like this little quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that says, I think at a child's birth, if a mother could ask a fairy godmother to endow it with the most useful gift, that gift would be curiosity. And you can change those intentions to things that more fit your life. So I've seen people change things, the money management, they change it to home and garden management. Have changed professional goals to learnings or learning goals. They changed personal life to creative life. What else? Goal, again, learning goals, different kind travel. Yeah, Brenda's, I think, has changed some to travel. So if you change any of these categories, let us know, because some people get stuck on some of the categories. They're like, I'm not sure what the difference is between personal life and key relationships. Again, so you can change that up. The other thing to keep in mind is that you don't have to fill out all 6 of these. Maybe you want to only focus on one this month. Maybe you only want to focus on two, especially if you're relatively new. um Maybe you're thinking like, okay, I just like, this is getting a little much, right? I just want to focus on maybe one or two, and then I can really get deep into it. So again, it's kind of like whatever works best for you. Some people do fun scrapbook style, so they kind of cut things out and make a little collage. One person left a space for reflection, so they have kind of a review of the month. I love our creative little drawings there, super super pretty to see. Oops. So I'm just going to kind of cycle through these. Uh, please feel free to share in the chat. Oh, Sharon's going to change money management to meal management. Love that. And sometimes with the maybe no spend is a little too intense to go to. So maybe it's no, um, what's the word? Impulse, right? So everything you do, you plan or you write it down, like you think, oh, this is this cool thing, I'm going to buy it, but you're like, okay, but I have to give myself 24 hours before I can do that. Andrea says she always changes spiritual health to mental health. Again, this is your page, so don't think you're stuck with these categories. These are just suggestions. So maybe you have something special that you're doing this month. Maybe one of your intentions is around getting outdoors, right? And so maybe you're gonna, you want to be outdoors more. You want to spend more time in nature, and so you're going to have some intentions for that. So I'll play a little bit of music again. Hopefully, I didn't throw any more music with words in there. And we'll check back in here in just a few moments. All right. So lots of good ideas for things that folks are going to do for these intentions. It's great to see like the idea of kind of setting things up and like what can you be curious about in some of these different areas. Michelle was saying I procrastinate at work a lot, so I wrote down to be curious as to why that happens. I was trying to see what else we have in there. Um, let's see. Change spiritual to emotional and money to home. So for those, I am also using an I will statement in hopes of being more accountable. So that's a great idea of saying things like your intention is I will um, not make any impulse purchases right for this month, right? Or I will write down and track the impulse purchases I make. Sometimes just tracking and seeing that can make a huge difference. I know I track my expenses, and then at the end of the month I always tally up how much did I spend, how much did we spend eating out, right? Dining out, and how much did we spend on groceries. And it's always kind of eye-opening to see what those look like, and then usually my challenges for the next month, like, okay, let's get the dining out bill to go down a little bit and focus on those groceries. So hopefully you have some good ideas here, and I will remind you, but if I don't, you can remind each other too, right? About sometimes in the habit tracker, which we'll do here in just a second, one of the habits sometimes can be going back to your intentions on a daily basis and reminding yourself. I feel like I spend sometimes a lot of time setting up my intentions and then I never look at that page again for the month, which kind of defeats the purpose, right? So remember to kind of go back and take a look at these. And remember, you might want to change these mid-month. Maybe they didn't make sense, or maybe they aren't feeling quite right, or you have some better ideas. You can always do that as well. So we're going to work on our mood tracker on page 10 and our habit tracker on page 11. We'll start with the mood tracker, which is always kind of an interesting thing to kind of track our moods and see how, if there's any trends that we can see as to how our moods are going at different times or different things that we are doing, right? Maybe, and then we can notice that and make some shifts. We can bring tools into what works when positive moods show up for us. So those of you who have been with us for a while, you will know that we have two different styles. We have the circle style, which we have this month, and we have the little hexagons. So the hexagons are for months with 30 days or fewer, right? And the circle are for the months with 31 days, right? So I know we have team hexagon and team circle, but this month we're back to circles. It's okay, right? We'll get some hexagons again later, right? And I know some of you in the beginning were talking about how this is definitely a Maya month. I'm super excited with this month because it starts, the first is on a Monday. That always makes me so, so happy. So yes, July is going to be amazing, right? Yeah, Brenda's team hexagon, Kate's team circle, Lori's team circle. Just know that it changes up, and that's the why. So you won't be surprised in future months. So maybe you want to pick a couple negative feelings, a neutral feeling, and then a couple positive feelings. Maybe you want to focus on that theme of curiosity. Maybe you want to fill in every emotion that came up that day, or fill in whatever emotion was the strongest. It's kind of up to you. I will say for me, I have way too many emotions in a day to try to track them all in that little space. So usually what I do is at noon, when my Fitbit alarm goes off to tell me to take my noon supplements, I also record my mood at that specific time. So it's very handy to kind of see like, okay, how was I feeling at noon each day, right? So you could totally do that. Here's our feelings wheel, right? There's lots of different feelings. And if you haven't seen Inside Out 2, highly recommend that. It's a very good, such a fun movie about emotions and how those work, right? As you're forming beliefs and those kinds of things. So lots of different words that you could use here. You don't have to just use, basic words, or you could use just basic things like fear, love, joy, surprise, sadness, and anger. And there's our circle, right? And I loved the little quote about today's good mood is sponsored by coffee and dogs, or it could be cats also, right? Doesn't have to just be dogs. And then I also liked the little quote about be curious, read widely, try new things. What people call intelligence just boils down to curiosity. So here is how some people have used it specifically as a mood tracker. right? So tracking different things like creativity, optimistic, happy, joyful, blah, sad, worried, happy, anxious, sentimental, depressed, romantic, crabby, anger, sadness, surprise, joy, love, right? You could put those in there and they've got the different ways to kind of track that. Or a lot of people like to repurpose this. I saw some folks saying like, I don't tracking my moods is not really a thing for me. Like it's not really giving me information that I need. So what else could I do with this page? So you could do some sort of an affirmation tracker, an anxiety level, depression levels, energy levels on a scale of 1 to 6, a certain feeling. You could track how curious you are, like your level of curiosity on a scale of 1 to 6 if you wanted. This is Bailey's anxiety tracker that she repurposed one time. And so she has the levels of panic, high, moderate, scattered, low, and none so that she can track that. And she doesn't use it every month, right? That's the other thing too. If you want to do this month, but the next month you want to switch to tracking something else, again, it's really kind of like, what data do you want to see about yourself for the month? Right. I like to tell this story about, we had one member who's was tracking her moods and her husband made a comment about like, oh, you're just always mad, right? You're just always mad about her. And she's like, that's not true. I have my mood tracker. You can see here. I was happy. I was joyful. I was this. And she had her little mood tracker to show him. And so he had to like take it back, right? Because she had the receipt, she had the data there. So again, it's the kind of thing where it's like, what kind of information do you want to see about yourself at the end of the month? What do you want to know? What are you curious about? Are you curious about if you are generally having good emotions on the weekends and bad emotions during the weekday when you're working, right? Those kinds of things. Or again, you can repurpose blood glucose, tracking symptoms. I see Michelle says, I track my mileage on it. My goal is 2,024 miles this year. I'm just over 1,040 miles so far. Love that. So that's a great idea, something to track. You can track books that you're reading, workouts that you do, different activities that are happening, rating the day on a scale of, 1 to 6, with 1 being a really tough day, 6 being a great day. It's kind of, again, a nice way to kind of see what that looks like. Another person has it like 10 to 9 is fantastic, 8 to 7 is good, 6 to 5 is neutral, 5 to 4 is also neutral, 3 to 2 is bad, and 1 to 2 is terrible, right? So you can totally do that. Yeah, Elizabeth says, I'm going to rate my day. Oops, went on to the habit tracker. So I'm going to let you work on that. Let us know how you're using that. Again, you can use it as a mood. You can use it, again, be curious. Tell us what you're curious about tracking here on this page, and then we'll check back in here in just a few moments. Okay, thanks for sharing the different things that you're going to track. Again, think of this as a way to get curious about what kind of thing would give me information at the end of the month that I could say, oh, I did this and I didn't think about it. We are kind of bad about estimating sometimes our moods or estimating how often we do something or kind of estimating those different things. But if we actually track it, it gives us some really good information. So hopefully you've got something fun to track. I will be honest, I am so bad about I set this up every month in some fashion to track something, and I do really good for about the first 10 days, and then I kind of space it out. So if that happens to you, that's okay. I'm a facilitator and I still have that happen to me on this one. So totally, totally okay. Again, right? It's kind of whatever works for you. So our last section that we're going to work on is this habit tracker. And this is the monthly wheel of habits that we want to do, generally speaking, every day, things we want to do every day. So maybe it's taking our supplements or making our bed or checking the mail. I don't know, kind of whatever little thing that you want to do. So maybe we want to start some new habits. We want to stop doing something that isn't serving us. And we want to continue doing things that bring us value. So keep in mind, you do not have to fill out every single space here, right? You don't have to fill out every single line. You should probably not find 7 new habits that you want to try to do this month. That's too much. It's going to stress you out. We're humans are not made to do a bunch of different stuff and it will just be frustrating. So don't do that. Maybe you want to use curiosity as your focus. Maybe you want to pick some other theme like grounded, calm, joy, delight. If you have habits that worked really well from last month, by all means, bring them over. You don't have to come up with brand new habits, right? I almost always have pretty much the first 3 or 4 are the same habits every month because it just helps me to be consistent with that. So find that balance of habits you know you can do and ones that will be trickier to commit to. And you don't have to fill in every line. So here's some examples of things that folks have done. A lot of folks do like to highlight the weekends in some fashion because it's always interesting to see, like, was it the weekends when you fell off of your habit? And if so, is that maybe that's okay, right? Maybe this is a Monday through Friday habit and it's okay if I don't do it on the weekends. Some people do beautiful colored pictures. They do the mandalas. They have like all this very pretty stuff. That is not going to be me, right? I'm lucky to get the little dots off the sticker page to get on there. You can just cross things off. You can kind of do whatever works for you. Here's kind of a list of different things. If you don't have an idea of, something that you want to, maybe there's a habit that you want to start building, lots of different ways to, think about those. I like to pick a song of the day. Or sometimes I'll even pick, I'll kind of have this is my song for the month, and I use it for my alarm on my phone every morning to kind of wake up to. Been using the Avengers theme lately to try to inspire me to want to jump out of bed and, I don't know, go fight crime or something. I don't know. Maybe you want to, like, this person just has 4 things and then they kind of colored in the lines that they weren't going to be using. And the big important thing to remember when you bring those habits over is is it still serving me, or am I just blindly following an old routine? Am I just doing a thing? It doesn't really do anything for me. It doesn't really make anything better. Um, but I just keep bringing it over. So maybe it's the kind of thing where maybe I just want to take that off. I don't need that on there anymore. You'll notice the one over on the left has down at the bottom, they have like a little dot and it says grace for not completing. So they give themselves grace for when they don't do things. Like when I'm on vacation, a lot of times these habits will kind of go by the wayside because it doesn't work out so well when I'm on vacation. Yeah, and Sharon says, I'm really bad about sabotaging myself by setting habits that are too big or unrealistic. And so be curious about that. Why are you doing that? Are you setting those habits because you know you'll fail and it will reinforce maybe a unrealistic belief that you have about yourself? So we tend to do things like our brains do things for a reason, even if we don't think they're doing it. So maybe Sharon, you could come up with some habits that are small and doable, and you can really focus on them this month. And then you can see, I can do these things, right? I can make this happen, and then I can get bigger next month, right? Again, if you found 7 brand new habits that are huge, right? You're going to run a marathon. So you're going to run 10 miles every day, and you're going to clean your house you're going to vacuum every day, and you're going to, eat no sugar for the whole month. Like you're going to come up with all these goals or all these habits that you want to have. And it's like, your body's like, what are you doing? We haven't done this before. So think about something small. It's those small steps, right? We're not doing giant hurdles. We're just doing small steps. And that's what these little habits are. Right. And here's some other examples. We do have the weekly habits, or I call them habities because it says habit and activities. So I kind of smushed it into one word. Those are really more for things that are specific for the week. And this is more something that you want to kind of carry over all month. So like I like to have bed by 11 p.m., no phone after 9:30 p.m., right? They want to make sure that they do 2 of their weekly habits. We have things like stretching, a good morning checklist, tracking their meals. So different ways to do that. I love the little frog. He's super cute on there. And I think about that, eat the frog, right? So, oops. So I'll just cycle through these. Let us know what habits you are thinking about tracking. Just go to this page that you're thinking about tracking this month, and we'll check back in and we'll wrap things up. Hey, so I see lots of folks with different ideas for those habits for the month. I love that some of you are being very thoughtful about only picking maybe a couple of them or just a few to focus on. And again, that's absolutely fine, right? This is your journal. None of us are going to come over to your house and knock on the door and ask to see your journal and say, "What? You don't have all the lines filled out. You didn't do this right. We're taking your journal away," right? That's not a thing. That will not happen. So this really is for you. So find those habits that will help you get those intentions and have those feelings and be able to have a good, happy, relaxing, fulfilling month, right? So, oops, I forgot to go back to that one. But so, believe it or not, we have come to the end. Even though we have an extra 15 minutes, I always feel like this time goes by so, so quickly. Hopefully, you have a good start on your month. We do have the weekly setups this weekend. And again, like I said, if you check the Eventbrite calendar, you'll see that we have, I think it's 3 other monthly setups that we're doing. So, plenty of opportunities. If you're like, I need just a little more information, or I want to hear one of the other facilitators' ideas for what they have, right? So, because we all have kind of different ways that we go about this. So please, if you are so inclined, share your planner on Sonder Club. And I also wanted to point out, if you don't already, be sure to check out Journal Inspirations in Sonder Club for lots of great ideas for these sections in your journal. So if you go in on the homepage of Sonder Club, it'll say journal inspiration, see all, like down at the bottom. You might have to scroll down to the bottom and then you click that see all, and then you'll see this whole list of all these things. So notice there's some Ikigai examples from previous months. We have the Ikigai in here. We do have a social. I think I'm doing the Ikigai social. But there are some examples in there of things that other folks have done if you want to get some brain juices flowing there. There's also some different, there's a gratitude log, there's that sleep tracker, expense tracker, things that people do with that. So don't forget that that is a good place, a good source of inspiration, right? So also just to point out, if you love those matchy stickers, you get the monthly subscription. You can add those to your subscription. They have some fun stickers like I saw on here, things I wonder. There's a sticker and you can kind of list those out. They have curiosity brain dump. There's always a bingo, right? So there's like a fun little curiosity bingo, and then all the other little, there's little pictures and the little dots for your mood tracker or your habit tracker, which, like Bailey told me, they're oddly satisfying to touch. If you're like a tactile, you get all your little dots on there, and then you kind of, it's a very satisfying to feel your little dots there. So those are kind of fun. We still have the Refer a Friend program going. We still are letting you upgrade to an annual subscription to save money. You will get an email. You should get an email with your survey link. You can also scan this little QR code, or Bailey is also putting links into the chat for you. There's also the YouTube link she's going to pop in there, so you can kind of take a look at that as well. So, and I will throw in my playlist link on Spotify. It's got lots of different songs on there. I've been just kind of making one monthly playlist where I just kind of throw lots of different things in there to find. So, feel free to use some of those songs, and have a fabulous, what is today, Thursday? Have a fabulous rest of your week. Hope to see you again on some socials soon. We've got lots of fun things. Be sure to sign up for them this month. And I will play the song with words, the lyric song that I had started to play, so you can hear that. And it's from the Disney movie Ron's Gone Wrong. So, which if you haven't seen it, super cute. It's an older movie, but all right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Anytime that you rolling, pulling me out, never letting me down, and I wanna make sure you know it. You're like a sunshine, only giving good vibes. Anytime that you rolling, can't believe that I found my sunshine. Hey, everyone's trying to be the same. Till I met you, I was on that way. But you really are something different. You I think it's rubbing off on me.